My name's Sean Charles. I'm an assistant research professor at the Coastal Studies Institute at East Carolina University. I've always loved being in coastal wetlands. I did my master's in marine science and then a PhD in biology at Florida International University in the Everglades, and then did a postdoc here with Dr. David Lagomasino and was promoted to assistant research professor. Later in life, I basically realized that coastal wetlands were central to all of our most important ideas of conservation and restoration and improving the ecosystem. So it started off with kind of the most exciting of the heroes of the estuary, and then I realized that the unsung heroes, coastal wetlands, were really where my interest lies. So coastal wetlands exist at the confluence of both the natural and the human-made environments. So they exist at the edge of society and wilderness. They basically protect each from each other. Wetlands clean the water that's polluted by humans on the way to the ocean, and then they help to buffer human society from sea level rise, storms, and the ocean itself. My research is largely based on coastal plant communities and their interactions with soils and estuaries. Individual species of plants have very characteristic requirements and adaptations for their environment. And so the same exists in coastal wetlands, and you can read the landscape through which plants exist on them. And those plants also solve a lot of the problems that humans create, from polluting the water to being the best ecosystem globally in terms of storing carbon and buffering from storms and sea level rise. So I have a few local projects that are really exciting to me right now. My projects involve studying the wetlands in Currituck Sound to identify where they're vulnerable and how they can be conserved, and also to study the water quality in Currituck Sound. Coastal wetlands are at the front lines of climate change. They bear the brunt of sea level rise and enhanced cyclones and storms that hit our coast. So they stand between us and the ocean, but coastal wetlands are not just passive in this. When sea level is rising, they also can increase their elevation by building up the soil vertically, by storing carbon dioxide, therefore fighting the impacts of climate change at 2 levels, by removing the CO2 and also by creating a barrier to protect from sea level rise. Part of conserving wetlands can be as simple as planting plants, as preserving land, as allowing natural hydrology to occur. It also can be things like living shorelines and thin layer sediment deposition, etc. That basically a lot of my research is providing the platform for better restoration through science of how wetlands resist sea level rise themselves. I'll continue to focus on wetland vulnerability, but we've gotten pretty good at identifying areas where wetlands are vulnerable. The area where we really need to focus now, I think, is on improving their resilience, building conservation into our research experiments, and therefore driving the change we want to see and quantifying it as we go.